All right, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, the bottom of apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well, who was feeding the flock very well. The water Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai for setting up our apostles. Okay, this is Brother Barak coming at you another lesson. I pray it's edifying and exhorting. And today's lesson is going to be asceticism. Okay, and that's the word that I ran across, the other day, while we was in class. Actually, it was linked to another word. I forgot exactly which word I looked up, but this word was one of the words that was linked to it. It's a very beautiful and powerful word. So let me let it play so you can hear how it's pronounced.
Asceticism. Asceticism.
Okay, so Lord wouldn't have played. I couldn't hear it on my end, but it says asceticism. Okay, and the definition of it, it's a noun. This is a simple Google definition. It says severe self-discipline and avoidance of all forms of indulgence, typically for religious reasons. Okay, so what we are here for, as the Apostle Paul spoke about a lot. Matter of fact, we can start with that. Let's go here to we'll come back at Mark 8. Okay, it says mortify. I'll read Romans 8 and 13 and also the next verse, Colossians 3 and 5. But let's start here in Romans 8 and 13. It says, for if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. And what? The flesh just want to, give into sensual things that feel good, things that bring forth pleasure. As far as, and the main thing that bring forth pleasure to men is money and women. Money brings you power, and it ultimately gets you to women. Money gives you access to different things, to different people. But you see, we're laying up our treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not corrupt. Okay, so it says, if you live after the flesh, and those are the main things of the flesh. Man, what you want to have a lot of money so you can do whatever you want to do, and pop the woman that you want. But it says, if we live after the flesh, it says, ye shall die. So these things don't bring forth nothing but death, because ultimately the scripture says you cannot serve God and mammon, right? You have to choose who you're going to serve. Joshua, the 9th chapter, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Okay, so we're not living after the flesh, but it says, for if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. You notice it said through the Spirit mortify the deeds of the flesh, because you have a lot of these guys out here, on a red pill thing, on a semen retention, on a discipline, but they're doing that to receive a corruptible crown. Okay, we're doing it through the Spirit to receive an incorruptible crown. That's why it says if you mortify these things, through the Spirit, ye shall live. Because a lot of these dudes, hey, man, they still go die. Why? Because the Spirit is not on them. They're not doing it for Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. They're doing it for their own gain, okay? Now let's jump to Colossians 3 and 5. It says, mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, for the fornication, uncleanliness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. You see? And, when you read, I believe that's Romans, the 6th chapter, he goes into, the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High. And he goes into being adulterers, idolaters, effeminate. He said, as were some of you. So we all come out of the world. We all have different demons on us. But through the Spirit, we must mortify these members, because these things are contrary to the church. These things are contrary to the Lord. These things are of the world, and to be of the world, to be friends with the world is enmity of the Most High, That means that what? That makes the Most High your enemy. And the Lord, he's a man of war. So if you're his enemy, he's going to fight against you. So what we're doing, we're going back to this word, Lord, when it's still up, asceticism, okay, this self-discipline, this brings us nigh unto the Lord. The scripture speaks about in the book of James, draw nigh unto the Lord and he shall draw nigh unto thee. And how do we draw nigh unto the Lord? By what? By being humble, by mortifying the deeds of the flesh, by doing the things that are pleasing unto him. Okay. So I want to start there, because that word, back to the word, it says severe Not just basic, but severe self-discipline and avoidance of all forms of indulgence, you know. Hey, so we got to be, the scriptures say a man that strives for the mastery is temperate in all things. Okay, so this comes to discipline. Of course, we're still in the flesh, so we can only do it, to the best of our ability. But the point is to fight the good fight of faith, and to strive for the truth unto death. Okay, so let's go here to Mark chapter 8. Mark chapter 8, verse 34. It says, and when he had called the people unto him with his disciples also, he said unto them, this is Yahweh speaking, whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Right? And that's what that word goes back to, asceticism. It goes to denying ourselves. Because when you get into discipline, what are you doing? You're denying yourself from the pleasures of this world, but applying, the things that may not feel good, but that are beneficial. When you go to Mike Tyson, he said he hated working out. Okay, your boy Andrew Tate also speak about that. That discipline, doing the things that you don't want to do, but you build that discipline and you do it anyway. Okay, so then us denying ourselves and taking up the cross of the Lord. Hey, us bearing this cross every day, man, we catching hell. We're constantly being afflicted, but this is what we signed up for, and this is what we ought to do. Imply this asceticism in our lives. The scriptures speak about Yahweh Shai as an austere man, a man well acquainted with grief. Okay, so he constantly was catching hell. Why? Because he was mortifying the deeds of the flesh. Look at all those women that were following him, man. If he would have been in the spirit of King Solomon, he would have been dealing with them. But what? He kept his mind focused. He kept his mind on the mission because he understood what he had to do. Okay, verse 35. Let me let this van go by, 'cause obviously they can't see me. Okay, so Mark 8 and 35, for whosoever will save his life should lose it, but whosoever should lose his life for my sake in the gospel, the same shall save it. And how do we lose our life? By, not indulging in this life, by humbling down, by just serving the Lord, by what? Bearing that cross. Okay, but those who want to save their life, they're not practicing asceticism. They're giving it to the lust. And then, when you humble yourself and you give it to asceticism, through the Spirit, and the Lord sups with you. He deal with you. Just read the book of Ezra, in the Apocrypha, man. The angel commanded him to, fast, eat herbs, so on and so forth. And that's what he was doing. So when you really get into that word, the beautiful thing that I realized about it is this is something that our forefathers rehearsed, man. Okay, and that's what we're here to do, to rehearse the righteous acts, man. Okay, rehearse the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability, even on the Sabbath. That's us practicing, rehearsing asceticism, right? Not giving it to pleasure, not giving it to lust, not even cooking, lighting a fire, to the best of our ability, right? So now, let's go here to the book of Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus chapter 18, or should I say Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach chapter 18. Let me see, verse 30. It says, go not after thy lusts, but refrain thyself from thy appetites. You see, appetites, you got an appetite for this. It's pretty much, a trigger in your mind to have you, you desiring a certain amount of, a certain type of food, like those pregnant women, women pregnant. These bitches always got a taste for some crazy shit, some weird shit, but that's in their appetite. You may not have dealt with a woman, but what you get that burning on you, like, damn, you need to get that load off. You want to lay with a woman. But the scripture says, refrain from thy appetites. Go not after thy lust, man. Okay? Why? Because these things will pull you away from the power, man. And we want to draw nigh unto the power, man. Okay? It says, verse 31, if thou givest thy soul the desires that please her, she will make thee a laughing stock to thy enemies that malign thee. So that's what happens, if you give yourself over to these pleasures, if you're not practicing this abstinence, if we're not practicing the abstinence, ultimately, that they got this saying, you never know when the last straw broke the camel's back, you see? Because you go to giving in so much into that, then now you get carried away. Read Luke 21 and speak about watch and pray lest you be overtaken with the cares of this world, man. Okay? And what happens is, Luke 14, it says you begin to build, but cannot finish. And you know, all those that seen you begin to build, begin to mock you, man. Okay, that's why I said your enemies will make a laughing stock of you, man. Okay? So that's why we ought to, you know, rehearse these things. Discipline, self-discipline, because another thing too, what is that? 1 Peter the 5th chapter says, Satan as a roaring lion seeketh who he may devour, right? So Satan is trying to grab you, man. Satan is trying to overtake you and overthrow your faith. And he does these different things by what you care for in this life. You know, your desires in the flesh, right? That's why the flesh has to be in check, and we have to ultimately walk in the spirit as much as we can, okay? Because, you know, the spirit is life, and the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So the best thing for us to do is to stay in the spirit, okay? Verse 32, it says, take not pleasure in much good cheer, neither be tied to the expense thereof. Hey, the scriptures say, Ecclesiastes, the book of Ecclesiastes, I believe it's the 7th chapter. It says, it's better to enter to the house of mourning than to the house of feast. Okay, so it says, take not pleasure in much good cheer. It's not, you know, you always trying to be happy. You always trying to feel good, man. No, man. You know, we got to be in an austere spirit, man. So that way we can be able to go through what the Lord wants us to go through, man. Right? Because we coming into some hard times. So if you caught up in that mercy spirit, not in the spirit of humility and humbleness and mortifying the deeds of the flesh, and you gonna get caught up out here and overthrown. And you know, hey, the Apostle Peter said we sacrificed everything. We forsaken all. We ain't come this far to fall out behind the fucking lust, man. Okay? So that's why it would behoove us in these last days, man, to be hardened, man. And that's what happens by severely resisting the flesh. Let's go back to this word again. Severe self-discipline, you know? That means no matter what, we're not giving it to the lust of the flesh. You know, women want to party up out there in the world and shit, okay? Now keep it in the house. Stay in the house. Like the Elder Kazak always say, man, stay in the house, you know? And not just physically the house, but be amongst brethren, man, okay? Them brothers that's in your immediate camp too, man. You know, not somebody that think they in the truth, the so-called believe the truth. Man, no, the brothers that the Lord set up in your camp, you know, that's who we ought to be dealing with, okay? Directly, right? It says, be not made a beggar by banqueting upon borrowing. You see that? You giving it to your lusts and your pleasures. Now you become made a beggar. Now you need to hold something. You want to hold something or borrow something just for you to, you know, give it to your lust. You give it to your pleasure. No, man, if you ain't got it, sit your ass down, especially, man. And you know, when we made these lessons, speaking to ourselves first and foremost, man, okay? It says, when thou hast nothing in thy purse, for thou shalt lie and wait for thy own life and be talked on. But that goes to what? The lack of self-discipline, okay? Hey, especially with this wisdom that we have received, yeah, we go fall into different situations. But at this point of the game, man, you know, brothers should be pretty much tight, you know? Okay, as far as like finances, so on and so forth. Like, why? Because we supposed to be put off the ways of the world. But yeah, we under the curses, so, you know, we still go catch hell, and we got the brotherhood for that, you know? But ultimately, man, hey, man, we got to be tight. We got to be tight in this truth, okay? Not giving it to our own self-desires, because that's where all your money go to, you know? You spending all your resources to feel good. That's a fucking fool, man. You're a complete idiot if you doing shit like that, man. You know, if you're in this truth and you understand this truth and you're doing that, man, hey, you got to pray and fast that the Lord take that spirit off you, man, because that's ultimately a demon, man. You know, wisdom going to applying the knowledge that we have received. Now let's go here to Sirach chapter 19, the next chapter over. It says, a laboring man that is given to drunkenness should not be rich, and he that contemneth small things shall fall by little and little. Hey, so if you're a laboring man, you work, but you give into drunkenness, what? Going to exactly what we were just speaking on. Every dollar you get, you spending it on drink. You spending it on pleasure. That's just like a crackhead in the world. What they do? They hustle. They got all these different skills, cut grass, can fix this, can fix that, wash cars. But what they do, every dollar they get, they spending on that rock, okay? And we ought not to be so. Verse 2, wine and women, so like, let me go back up here, because it said, And he that contemneth small things shall fall by little and little. And when you go into that word contemneth, it goes into despise. Take no thought of, take no care of. So if you don't take thought of like small things, and you despise the small things, and you fall off little and little, right? That's why that word asceticism, it goes back into severe self-discipline, right? That goes into being locked in, counting the small things, right? It's another precept in the Apocrypha that says a wise man, I'm gonna roughly paraphrase it, he writes down things that he bring in and things that he give out, So all these things are very important, to pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention to your finances, your food intake, your exercise habits, all these things, man, because we can use that word asceticism to apply in all our walks of life, going to exercising, food habits, all these different things. Verse 2 says, wine and women will make men of understanding to fall away, and he that cleaveth to whoredoms will become impudent. You see that? Why? Because he don't have no discipline. You giving yourself into drink and to women. No, you got to have a balance. We have to have a balance and have to have that discipline. Knowing when you done had too much to drink. All right, that's enough. Okay, I still need to drive. Okay, well maybe I need to stay where I'm at. Okay, and then especially if you won't drink, trying to deal with a woman, man. Okay, you just go fall off. You've been spent all your finances trying to please a woman and deal with a woman. Okay, and these things are foolishness, and that's a lack of wisdom, right? It says, verse 3, moss and worms shall have him to heritage, and a bold man should be taken away. He that is hasty to give credit is light-minded, and he that sinneth shall offend against his own soul. This is the point I wanted. Verse 5, whoso taketh pleasure in wickedness shall be condemned, but he that resisteth pleasures crowneth his life. And that's the ultimate point that I want, because this goes to what? Severe self-discipline and avoidance of all forms of indulgence, typically for religious reasons, right? So these things, that severe self-discipline, what leads us to the crown of our life. That way the Lord can deliver us and we receive salvation. Okay, because that's ultimately what we're here fighting for, man. So, I ran across that word, and I pray this was edifying and exhorting, but this is something that we all should be applying, because this is what's going to bring us to the crown of our life. Being as Yahushua was. He bared his cross. He was an austere man. He denied himself. Okay. And that's what we're here for. Let he that is greatest among you, be the least, be the servant of all. Right. And that goes into us, first and foremost, disciplining ourselves. Right. And that way we can give more into the church. So I pray this was edifying and exhorting. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. I pray this was edifying and exhorting. Once again, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, the honor to the apostles and elders, that great millstone who rule well. Peace and salutation to the elect. Shalom.